make a difference, and I think we have some obligation there, whether we say something else, to another obligation, and I certainly think that's a possibility that the few of us that are here could certainly contribute to. I see what you mean. It's a matter of having enough people to do these kinds of things. I certainly would be willing to make a contribution.
And then that's good to know. I think some of the more progressive institutions in the country have actually founded centers for African American student retention, African American male retention. For some reason, Wayne State, and this is even before Prop 2, the more progressive institutions in this nation founded those centers, those institutes, those departments in the late 60s, early 70s. So when you look at where we are, in the context of where we are particularly, my sense of things is that Wayne State has deliberately, over several years, made a policy decision not to support African American students at that level. Whereas if you go to U of M, right up the road, you go to Michigan State, they already have these places, and they've been in existence for 30, 40 years. And so one does have to ask oneself, why not in a place that probably has more African American students than any institution in the state? As a matter of fact, we jork most of them, except Wayne County Community College. Yes.
I was going to ask, I know years ago, and I don't know if it still exists, there was, through the College of Lifelong Learning, there was a Division of Community Education Program, DCE, and I'm not quite sure if that's still in existence, but I thought that was targeted, I know, not just towards African American males, but it was towards community education, and at one point it was a successful program. And I'm wondering if that type of structure or model was either helpful, successful, and or can be implemented again in this regard, or maybe, you know, that type of support system to help students to add the elements of what you were speaking, that the students were saying that they have, you know, the issues with Wayne State, or, you know, things of that nature. So.
DCE still exists.
Okay.
And from my point of view, it's doing a masterful job in terms of serving students who, and the focus of DCE really was to serve the needs of students who did not meet regular admission criteria. You know, and of course that encompasses, you know, all races and ethnic groups. And so DCE is still in existence. Most of the students who are African American are not in DCE, which is what most people think. Well, we go like this. The majority of African American students enrolled at Wayne State University are not in the Division of Community Education.
Okay.
They are regular admit, pay your tuition without scholarship students. You know, so quiet as it's kept. You know, I think DCE has been the whipping boy for a lot of the institutional issues regarding students of color. I say that quite honestly. You know, they may serve less than 1% of the student of color population here, but yet I'm the person that has administrative responsibility for DCE now, and I can't count the number of meetings I get called in to talk about minority issues.
Now, has it always
you
been
know, we serve less than 1%, but yet here.
Has it always been a fact? Because I know, like back in like '97, I know that there was I thought that the numbers were that there was a majority of African American students in there. So has there been a shift or a change over time, or really? Okay.
It's never been that way. They've never been funded to serve all the students of color on campus. Nor do I think you necessarily want that.
No, not just to.
But you know, that's just my perspective on it. You know, but like I said, the institutional perception is that this is a program for those folks, and I'll put it like that, for those folks, and that's how it's been treated. Yes.
I just have a comment from a perception standpoint. I like the thought about the research questions being more focused on how students that are successful, what are the key indicators of their success, and it takes the focus off of the negative issue, which I think goes to your point of how come students haven't been successful, and focusing more on what's working and how the institution can support those aspects or indicators that do contribute to men of color being successful on the campus. And I think you garner more support and you garner more understanding from a more asset-based perspective. And it's not an indictment on the institution, whereas we could all say what the institution could do better, but it puts the focus on what actually works and how can we support that.
And I hate to put it like this, but as an institution, Wayne State hasn't developed the capacity to fully implement everything that the literature says works. There are some things that individual students are doing on their own that is creating opportunities for them to graduate. You know, one definitely is being more proactive, finding support, seeking support, garnering those allies, so to speak, that will support their cause. The second is, of course, just doing their work, studying, working hard, things of that nature. Joining student organizations, clubs, all of those things that students are doing more or less on themselves, for themselves. And I think that's where we have an issue. You know, I appreciate your point where you're saying what are students doing or what is the institution doing well in this regard. Unfortunately, the data speak to we're not doing nearly enough.
But until those two can match, it's empowering for the student, even if you have to do it on a smaller scale, to teach them how to be empowered within that environment until there's some type of policy that meshes those efforts. So you've got the bottom up and top down, and somewhere, hopefully, they'll meet in the middle.
I agree.
I mean, I don't think it will happen fast as it needs to happen, but I'm trying to take a positive perspective
I hear you.
at this 4.5% graduation rate.
And my sense of it is that, and I appreciate that, in many ways we're 40 years behind. I mean, I hate to put it like that, but it's true. If you look at our competitors, institutions of like size and type, urban, research, etc., have more support, more funded support. Not, this is an add-on to the 20 other jobs you have type of situation. Dedicated to the needs of students of color on their campuses. And Wayne State has not invested, nor has a philosophy right now that speaks to providing that type of support. And therefore, I think the numbers bear that out.
Do you know Delilah Owens at all?
I've met her once.
Well, it's important that you get to know her, because she gave a talk here last week in which she spoke about the question of support for African American women particularly. And it seems as if an alliance between somebody like you and somebody like her, she is as devoted as you are to the idea of assisting minority students to do well on this campus. One of the things she spoke about is that they encouraged African American women to form networks and support organizations, and that she's there and so on. So it speaks to somehow the lack of connectivity that somebody with your interests would not know very well. Somebody like her, and she's been an assistant and now associate professor in the College of Education for over 7 years. So when we talk about alliances, because one of the things which appears to me to be a possibly good thing to happen is for organizations which are designed to help African American women succeed, and organizations which are designed to help African American men succeed on campus should have some kind of interaction with each other. So I would recommend that you reach out to Delilah, and I will tell her about you, and maybe, on the down low or the up low, the down low or the up high, what the terms are.